The conversation around the Remarried Empress began long before the drama itself. What should have been a simple first-look reveal turned into a full public discussion after one promotional still showed Ju Ji-hoon wearing a medal that looked almost identical to a Nazi-era award. It wasn't a vague similarity. Viewers immediately noticed the starburst shape, the gold edging, and the overall structure matching the third-class gold service medal used in the Nazi Party. When people began posting comparison images, the issue spread fast, and it became clear that this wasn't something audiences were willing to overlook. The reaction wasn't just about a prop. It was about how a high-budget Disney Plus production, backed by Studio N, allowed a symbol tied to one of the darkest periods in history to appear in official promotional content. With projects designed for global release, the expectation is that every visual element passes through multiple layers of review. Costume teams, art directors, marketing departments, Disney's own internal safety checks. A mistake like this makes people question how these systems function behind the scenes. The production responded quickly with a public apology and removed the images, acknowledging that it was a serious oversight. It's likely that the scene will either be digitally corrected or quietly reshot. This would have been a minor issue if the drama weren't already carrying significant weight. The Remarried Empress isn't an ordinary adaptation. The original web novel by AlphaTart, released between 2018 and 2020, built a dedicated following because of how it framed its central character. Navier isn't written as a passive or tragic empress. She is composed, strategic, and trained from childhood for the role she holds. Her divorce from Shu and her immediate remarriage to Heinrich wasn't written as a melodramatic twist, but as a calculated decision rooted in power, dignity, and political leverage. This tone is what drew readers to the story, a fantasy world with the emotional restraint of a political drama. The webtoon adaptation amplified all of this. Readers loved the layered power dynamics, the Eastern Empire versus the Western Kingdom, the way class operates within the palace, and how Rashta's journey from enslaved woman to royal consort exposes the fragility of a system that relies on status and perception. There are also fantasy elements, like Heinrich's ability to shapeshift into a bird, which the story uses to explore secrecy, surveillance, and palace politics. These details matter because fans don't just enjoy the story, they analyze it. And they expect the adaptation to be handled with the same awareness. This is why casting became such a major point of interest. Shin Min-a naturally carries the quiet confidence Navier is known for. Ju Ji-hoon fits Sovyeshu's conflict-driven character, someone who balances duty with personal impulse. Jong-suk as Heinrich brings a softness that masks strategy, and Lee Se-young as Rashta adds emotional depth to a character often judged harshly. It's a lineup that suggests the team understands how sensitive the tone of this story is. Filming began in Europe, including Prague, which points toward a more expansive, fantasy-style world-building approach. With Disney Plus backing the project, the expectation was that the scale would be international both visually and structurally. This is what makes the medal incident stand out. It disrupts the image of a well-prepared global project and highlights a recurring pattern in Korean productions when dealing with fictional historical worlds, blending different cultural aesthetics without fully researching the symbolism behind them. When a project is made for worldwide release, small details stop being small. Symbols with deep historical associations, especially ones connected to violence and fascism, cannot appear casually. Audiences today are aware, fast to respond, and precise in their criticism. It also brings up a larger industry conversation. Korean dramas are evolving quickly. Streaming platforms commission bigger projects, fantasy adaptations are becoming more common, and fan bases extend across continents. But global exposure also means global responsibility. Historical sensitivities have to be considered at the same level as visual design, narrative pacing, or character writing. We've seen dramas face backlash for distorted history, insensitive prop choices, or misrepresented cultures. As productions scale up, these details become part of the language of storytelling, and missteps become more visible. The question now is not whether the incident will define the drama. It won't. What matters is whether the series can deliver the adaptation fans have envisioned for years. The material is strong enough to stand on its own. Navier's political composure, Sovyeshu's inner conflicts, Heinrich's dual nature, and Rashta's fragile ambition create a story that balances emotional restraint with palace tension. If the script, performances, and world-building align with the tone of the original, the drama has the potential to become one of Disney Plus's most notable Korean releases. The next official teaser will play a significant role. Viewers will look closely for how the world is shaped, how the characters are framed, and how closely the adaptation follows the political structure and emotional pacing of the source. More importantly, they'll be watching to see if the production appears more cautious and attentive after the controversy. Fans of The Remarried Empress expect precision, not just spectacle. Right now, the series sits in an unusual place. It has the story, the cast, the budget, and a global platform behind it. It also has a controversy that surfaced earlier than anyone expected. Whether this moment becomes a forgettable footnote or a sign of deeper issues will depend entirely on how the production handles the next steps. But one thing is clear, this is already one of the most closely observed upcoming dramas, not because of scandal alone, but because the expectations were high, long before a medal became the center of attention.